Well, what becomes developing countries' problem because they have natural resources and human resources as well, but sadly, their lack of knowledge and technology in order to develop these natural resources that they have. That's why foreign companies come to create a business by taking their natural resources because of the cheap price, and they develop it into things that could be sold in higher place. We acknowledge the foreign companies already give payback toward the developing countries about the natural resources that they take by paying in certain amount, paying building taxes and etc. But what our concern as developing countries is that we want to develop our countries. If only relying on money that the foreign companies gives, it only lasts for a while until the natural resources being run out. And with the certain amount of money, what the government will do, maybe they allocate it to build infrastructure and etc. in order to make the mobility easier. But once again, who will be benefited? The foreign company itself. They can lower the price because they don't have to pay a big amount of money to the mobility fee, right? What should we do? We want to foreign companies having minimum quota of hiring local workers. They don't have to be higher position at the first time. They could be a labor, foreman, and etc. But what the benefit that will we get? First, we give job to the locals because nowadays seeking for a job is hard. Moreover, in developing countries, because we acknowledge a lot of people have still lacking of education and skills and etc. And the second will be the locals surely have sense of belonging to their region or even the country itself, that they have interest to build the country as well. That's why in the journey of working, they also learn how to run the business as well, or even they learn how to making the natural resources in order to increase the value itself. Then there are three scenarios. At first, they have interest of creating a new business because they don't want to work for foreign companies anymore because they want to create something that labeled as a local. The second scenario will be they can spread the knowledge about certain things to other locals, for example, that could create a new small business. The examples are real. There are a lot of cooks. After they opt out from foreign restaurant, they create a food business with a cheaper price of product in order to middle low class economy society could afford that. And the third scenario, even if they don't have any interest to create a small new business, at least we as developing country government fulfill our job because we cannot give the best education, we cannot give We cannot give the examples of the good company to train them, for example, or even to give them education and experience and etc. So we as a government have our responsibility to teach them because we could take advantage from foreign people or foreign company that run our business in our country. Yes, we acknowledge maybe the foreign companies have the interest to hire local workers to begin with because they have a cheaper salary. But there's a possibility to them to not hire the locals. Why? There are two. First, they don't want locals having knowledge about their business because they're afraid if one day they learn something and create a small new business that could hamper the price that coming from the foreign company product and also their product because the price will be different, like the examples I told you about. And the second will be they don't want to have expenses to train the locals because as I explained you before, some of locals have no big knowledge or even the experience to becoming the labor from the certain big companies to begin with. Okay, maybe there's only one or two local that they hire to begin with, but not all of them having interest to learn and to create a new business, for example. So we have to increase the amount to begin with. So at least we have multiple choices of locals that they hire to begin with. So at least these people want to explore more about the new business, for example. These people have no interest. Okay, so as long as they work, as they pay, they could receive the knowledge to begin with. But this is very okay, and this is only work in our side of the house if we create this kind of minimum quota to begin with. Harm is what the harm that could create if we have no minimum quota of the local workers to begin with. Because if they don't have a minimum quota, they only increase their business and take all the advantage, and we only get certain amount of money, for example, from their tax or etc. But sadly, we can't make our people having education directly from the better company. Means it hampered our goals as developing country, because they think that, oh, our foreign labor is the best, so that's why they want to keep them, for example. And this is very bad, because in the end the locals are not included and the business is growing up well, and this is very regrettable, because it hampers our goal as developing country, that we want to develop our countries because of relying on money that not will last long. Why some countries are called developed? Well, because the society are well educated and not being slave for other country. We should be like that as well. And this is really important for us as a government, because we are the one that actually giving them access, or the foreign company access, to create a business that actually having a harm, or even can giving a harm, or even to create a product or even monopoly by this kind of foreign company to begin with. We are the one that actually open the opportunities for them to create a harm itself. So that's why, in order to decreasing the harm, or even to taking the more benefit coming from them, so we think that we as the government is very justified to open this kind of minimum quota from the foreign company of hiring local workers. We proud to propose.